Hello, Night Nation. I'm Trey Strogo, joined by Adam Eaton. Welcome in to Sons of UCF Live. Adam, hello.
Greetings, Trace. Greetings, Night Nation. Exciting show tonight. We got some fun guests. We got some revelry coming up later, and a surprise in the mailbag. But we have a really important guest off the top, Trace.
Yes, let us go right to him off the top. He is the star of Around the Kingdom, the voice of UCF softball, part of D1 and In the Circle. He is live from Oklahoma. UCF softball getting ready to face Baylor in the Big 12 championship. Elo, hello to you. Eric Lopez.
Hello, Trey. Hello, Adam. This is not the fastest UCF show, but we are fastly approaching UCF softball's first Big 12 tournament game in program history. First time they're playing here at OKC at the same stadium that the World Series is played. It started about 29 minutes. Quarterfinal game against Baylor. The winner's going to play Texas, who just run-ruled Texas Tech, so they kept us on schedule. But it's been a fun week, and I'm excited. You're part of history here. This is exciting here. We're making history here. Sun's usually live first here, a live report from the stadium. Do you want me to give you a look at the stadium?
Certainly. Give us a little color there, Elo.
Here we go. This is the stadium, again, where the World Series is played every year. I'm going to open this up. You let me know if you need me to move the monitor here a little bit. But there's the steel. They're working on the water. And then you see some of the teams here warming up. Baylor's on the left side. UCF's on the right side. They're at the first base side. Baylor will be on the right side. They're the home team, third base. So that's the view right now. We're warming up. And there's the Knights warming up there, right there. You got exclusive here on Sons of UCF Live. Knights players warming up on the field for the first time here in Oklahoma City, because they don't actually let teams practice here during the week. You got to practice somewhere else. So it's kind of like the Rose Bowl in football, where they try to protect the fields there. So there you go. That was kind of cool. That worked out perfectly.
Elo, who is starting in the circle for the Knights? Has that been announced yet?
Not yet. I don't have the lineups with me yet, and I'm kind of curious myself. Will it be Sarah Willis, who's the first team All Big 12 performer for UCF? Will it be Aaliyah Binford of Baylor, or I would imagine it's going to be Willis. If they don't go with Willis, I think it'll be Kaylin Felton with Willis ready to go in relief, because I think this is a big game for UCF. I don't like to say must win, but this is an important game for them to win, because if they don't win, this makes things complicated for the tournament.
All right, Elo, if UCF does win, fill in the blank, they will need a big performance from blank. From who?
I think they will need a performance from Chloe Evans. I think Chloe Evans in the offense, when she's rolling, this offense is at a different level. That's, to me, the key. They've got to get off to a good start offensively. Remember, Baylor held them to one run in the 3 games in Waco when they shut them out, and they struggled. And I think Chloe's a key factor. She's going to hit in the middle of the lineup and then set the table for Doherty and Cody. Get off to a good start against Baylor. I think UCF feels good about their pitching, especially if it's Willis against this Baylor offense. It's the UCF offense against the Baylor pitching. Have they figured out some answers against this Baylor pitching staff that's very good since they last played in Waco a few weeks ago? That's going to be interesting to see. How does UCF handle this environment? I've told you both this, and I've told people on Twitter, imagine if UCF played a game at the Rose Bowl and how the scenery and just the environment. This is where every softball player wants to play in their careers at some point. Maybe not in the Big 12 tournament, but this is the mecca of softball as far as stadiums are concerned. I mean, I just showed you what it looks like. It's beautiful. And in a few weeks, they're hoping to get back here for the World Series. But this is a big moment for this program, a historical night, and hopefully it's a positive note.
But staying with that, you've been around this team all year. You've kind of seen them. What's the vibe been like? What's the sort of the attitude that you've seen from this team as they prepared for the Big 12 tournament?
Well, I think they're loose. They know it's a new season. They know what they have at stake. Remember, this is a lot of these players know what it takes in a conference tournament. They won the last 2 American Conference tournaments before they left the American. So they know what it's like to be in the postseason tournament atmosphere, where it's single game elimination. And I think they wanted Baylor. They know that things did not go well in Waco. They were embarrassed to some extent. I think they'd admit that on how they were looked offensively. So I think they wanted this opportunity. And they got to get off to a good start, because my concern is if Baylor shuts them down early, a couple of zeros, let's say Baylor gets a run or 2 early, this becomes psychological for you. man, we just can't hit this team. That's my concern in this Baylor matchup. If they can get off to a good start, then I think it could be a good night.
Elo, where can folks find you for the broadcast of UCF softball against Baylor?
Go to Twitch, and it'll be on the UCF Knights page. It'll go on Twitch. It's UCF softball broadcast. That's look for that on the Twitch page. I will be up here in the booth. The audio, the internet here has been interesting. At times it's been magnificent. At times it's a little choppy. The game will also be on ESPN Plus, but I will not be on Plus. I will be obviously doing the audio broadcast for this one. But I'm looking forward to it. This is a bucket list moment, and now that the moment's here, I'm kind of nervous, but in a good way. I'm excited.
Well, Elo, we thank you for joining us from Oklahoma. We'll let you go and get ready for the broadcast, and we'll see you next week on Around the Kingdom.
All right, Trace and Adam, have a great show, guys, and then tune in after the show. All right, folks.
In the stands, on the field,
All right,
and
thank you,
Have fun, Elo.
All right, some color there from Oklahoma. Hey, it's win and move on to face Texas, lose and go home, and the season ends. And then they've got to watch to see how things turn out for selection show and all of that. So it could be some nerve-wracking days, but a win certainly helps their cause. Still waiting to see the lineup announced. I'll keep checking and refreshing throughout the broadcast on that because I want to see who's in the circle. Pitcher, outfielder Sarah Willis, Big 12 All-Conference first team. First baseman Shannon Doherty and right fielder Chloe Evans, second team. Pair of freshmen, Samantha Ray and Sierra Humphreys, all freshman team in the Big 12. So the Knights certainly have some stars. I want to thank Ryan Ladika from UCF Sports Information for talking with Shannon Doherty and sending along this soundbite. And what Shannon says, the team get ready for this game against Baylor.
We're feeling super excited about conference tournament. Last week was huge for us to kind of create some momentum and start swinging some hot bats. So, we're going into the tournament feeling good, and we know what to expect from Baylor, and we know what adjustments we need to make. So we're just going to make them and keep the momentum rolling for regionals.
We'll see what adjustments they make. They got swept in Waco just a couple of weeks ago. In that one, Knights lost 3 one-run games, 2-1, 1-0, and 1-0. Bats were very quiet that weekend. So good luck to softball here within the hour against Baylor. Switching gears, Adam, football. No surprise here, right? Season tickets announced, sold out, 5th consecutive year for the Knights. I think Colorado and Deion Sanders certainly helping that happen as early as it has.
It's a good home schedule, Trace. I mean, that Utah game is sneaky good towards the end. The November schedule is pretty good. So it's a good home schedule. I think, obviously seeing some new teams in the bounce house for the first time that you haven't seen, I think also helps out as well. And sure, the Deion factor helps, but it's also seems like a team that there's a lot of positivity and there's a lot of thought that this team could compete. So perhaps that drives ticket sales as well. But always good to have a packed bounce house, Trace. 44,206. I think is that the capacity, right?
That sounds right. It's adjusted and moved around throughout the years. Knights 83-26 at home since 2007 in the opening of the bounce house. If my math is correct, that averages out to be about 5-2 a year. So which of those two games?
Here we go again. Here we go. People like you, Trace. Here we go.
Who will not be there. No more eligibility, but now a free agent signee for the Dallas Cowboys is a guy you caught up with this week, former UCF tight end Alec Holler. I think you did more than an hour plus a good interview with Alec. I think in all of his years speaking at the podium, I don't think he's talked for even that long.
Yeah, he obviously had a bit more freedom, I think, talking about his time at UCF. And listen, it's a great story. I think everyone knows the Alec Holler story, from walk-on to injury to becoming a key contributor to a captain. He did have that last year left of eligibility. He confirmed, I know he joked at the presser that he had another year. He confirmed he actually did have another year and was considering it, but obviously decided to move on at this point. But while that was all great, and go check out the interview and hear about the Holy Holler and the Holler Hop and some of his teammates. I thought the best conversation we had and the most energetic Alec became, we talked about some of his more curious NIL opportunities.
Golly. So one of my older brother, Roger, one of his buddies, he was one of his fraternity brothers, is actually, I think he works, I don't know if his family like does funeral homes or like some sort of something like that. And we were like, oh, like how funny would it be if like, John Rice, how funny it would be if me and you like made a video, like a NIL video for them, and we were talking about like burying the War on I-4 trophy. But then we were like, I don't know if that's like bad taste. We probably shouldn't do that. Like that's not something you really joke about, like with like funeral homes and stuff. But that's like one that I was like, gosh, that could potentially be funny, or it could be something that would be really bad. I don't know, so I'm gonna stay away from it.
All right, Trace.
Alcala, a man of principle, no joking around with the burial industry.
Would that have been funny? Would you have laughed at the Alcala for
I was
funeral
laughing
home?
when he said it.
I think a missed opportunity. I'm not gonna lie to you, missed opportunity.
I like that line. Now, perhaps you'll work that in as one of your questions and interviews. The missed NIL opportunities. I think that's funny. Full interview on the Sun's YouTube channel, of course, released as part of the podcast. Episode 259 this week. Do you celebrate another milestone? If you get Mike to another episode, do you celebrate?
Well, yeah, I need to get Mike to 260, but the same person counting these is the same person counting the Eric Lopez broadcast. So I don't know how official any of these stats really are.
Well, if I'd known you were interviewing a former UCF tight end, I would have poll question tight ends, but it was in fact wide receivers asking, are you, Night Nation, satisfied with the UCF football wide receiver room going into the 2024 season? Again, like running backs and like quarterbacks, overwhelmingly, yes, 79% of people saying that they like what they have. Of course, we know Kobe Hudson is back. He chimed in to a detractor on that poll and say, I'm going to show you, which is I like to hear that from Kobe. Of course, you got Xavier Townsend back and some newcomers as well. Did you answer this poll question, or how would you have answered it?
I did. I answered this with a yes, Trace. I think we've got speed. I think we've got size. We've got experience. We've got guys who can stretch the field, guys who can make tough catches. And I'm actually really excited about our next guest, because I think he brings another dynamic to the receiving room as well. So this was a resounding yes for me. Yeah, let's welcome in our next guest, Jacobe Jones, transfer from Ohio. Welcome into Sons of UCF Live, Jacobe. Welcome to UCF.
What's good, man? How y'all doing?
So glad that you are here. Usually we ask why UCF, but I want to go a little bit before that. What was your thinking in entering the transfer portal? When do you start to think about such a big decision?
It probably started around April, and the year prior to the year before, I had a great year. And last year I did suffer, a big time injury. But really the main thing was for me was like, this was going to be a big year. I had 1 year left, and it was an opportunity really for me to prove myself. And I was like, all right, how can I show people that I am who I really, who I say I am? And I felt like, making a jump, going up a conference, to be able to put my talent on display, it's really going to look good. So around April is when this decision really came to my head.
And when you decide to do that, what's that experience like then? Does your phone just start lighting up? How does it go being contacted by different schools?
Yeah, it was pretty chaotic. So around that time, I still had classes and stuff that I had to get done back at Ohio. So I was getting crazy amount of DMs and phone calls and stuff like that. So it was really chaotic. So for me, I'm a very simple guy, and I really didn't want to be in the portal that long. So it was like, whoever could come up to me up front and, put everything out, in front, so I can really just see how everything was. That's really where I wanted to go. But it was crazy when I first hit the portal.
Well, Jacobe, at some point your phone lights up and it's a 407 area code and it's somebody from UCF in Orlando. What made that a call you wanted to take, and what ultimately made you say to yourself, hey, UCF's really a school I need to consider?
So KJ Jefferson, he's from Sardis, Mississippi. So that's like 45 minutes away from where I stayed. So it's like I actually played against him in high school, and I seen some of the things that he was capable of. So when I got a call from UCF, and I actually had some family members that was like, hey, KJ Jefferson, he went there. So I was like, for real? So, us coming from that same background, I knew automatically, coming from Mississippi, you got to have heart, and you got to be a dog, a competitor. And I just knew off rip, that's a quarterback that I want to come play with.
Did you get a chance to visit UCF? If so, what was your experience like when you got to go to campus?
Man, it was nice. I did get a chance to visit, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was crazy. Being at Ohio University in Athens, it was a good school and a good environment, but you just can't beat Orlando, Florida. I mean, it's just a different atmosphere.
What is the conversation with coaches? A big part of the marketing campaign is where the world vacations. How much is that a part of the conversation? The sun, the proximity to the beaches, the theme parks, all there is to do in Orlando. And you saw the campus. It looks, pretty beautiful in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean, especially for me being in Ohio. I mean, I was born and raised in Mississippi, so I'm used to being out. Like I'm outside right now, getting some sunlight and some fresh air. So like moving from Mississippi to go to Ohio, where it's normally way colder than Mississippi. I did want to go to a place where it kind of was kind of reminiscent of being at home. So Florida is just as hot, if not hotter than Mississippi. Sunlight, and it just has more to offer, more opportunities, just a lot of things. And I kind of feel like for me, my last year, I did want to kind of go to a place, where I can experience some different things and kind of get around, some guys and just this program. I went to Ohio. We had a chance to compete for a MAC championship 2 years ago. At Northwest, I won the national title and a state title. So it's like I wanted to go to a place where I believe we had a chance to win. And I really feel like, with all the pieces that's kind of coming together, this was the best opportunity that I had to go get a ring for my last year.
And no disrespect to the MAC, but when a Big 12 school like UCF comes calling, you've got to listen to that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like that's not even a question.
All right, Jacobe, give UCF fans a scouting report. Describe your game. What can they expect to see on the field from you?
Well, I'm a big body receiver, 6'3", 230 pounds. I'm catching everything that's coming my way. I'm a willing blocker, and I just have a tenacity about myself. I kind of feel like, when you're looking at a player, when you're watching film, you need to cut on and watch every single play. And I feel like if you go back and watch my film, I show relentless effort every single play. So I really just feel like I'm going to bring a different tenacity, some more energy to this team, to just showcase, because I always felt like I belonged. And I know that this opportunity just being here is really just going to push me that much more harder so that I can be, and in my head, I'm confident. And there's no knock on any receivers that's here or whatever. But it's like, I'm coming in to be a dog. So I'm ready to compete. And I'm ready to, be the best receiver here.
How much did the Gus Malzahn offense? Obviously, it's kind of up tempo, high power. Obviously, you know KJ a little bit. How much did that offense and sort of the numbers that you saw receivers put up at UCF maybe last year? How much did that kind of appeal to you when you thought about what system you want to play in?
Honestly, for me, like when I came in on the visit, we sat down, me and Coach Harris, we sat down and we watched some of KJ's film. And one thing that I liked a lot was, that he likes to get the ball around to all kinds of targets. And he's really a deep ball quarterback. And that's really like one thing that's a big part of my game. Like I'm a big body receiver. I feel like I make 50-50 balls, 90-10 balls. So they really appeal to me. And I kind of just look back too. Like, when KJ was at Arkansas, he had Treylon Burks. He was 6'1", 230 pounds. So, hey, when he looks out there, he sees Treylon Burks. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of appealed to me. And I feel like, I can jump in and fulfill that role.
You mentioned injury earlier. Talk about facing adversity, having to work through overcoming an injury and getting back on the field.
Yeah, it's definitely different. And that was the first time in my life in general that I've ever had to sit out, that long for a sport. And so I would say, it definitely comes with its challenges, more mentally than physically for sure. But I think at the end of the day, I'm a Christian man and I have my faith strong. Jesus Christ, he never failed me. And I feel like the reason that I'm in this predicament right now is because of him. So, I just pray, I let my frustrations out and I just give it to him and everything's been smooth. So I'd be lying if I said it was the hardest thing. It's definitely tough, but when you got God on your side, it ain't nothing that you can't get through.
Do you use it as motivation, though? New place, new teammates, new fan base, maybe something to prove in another year of eligibility?
Absolutely. I kind of just feel like with the injury, there's a lot of, questions about, will I be able to perform, or, will I be the same? And I'm just going to be straight up. I'm not. I'm going to be way better than, any of the tape that I put on film so far. I'm confident, and that confidence is coming from, all the work that I put in, a countless amount of nights where, I've just been grinding and working, and, I got my faith and I got my trust in God. And I just know that, him landing me in this position, it was meant to be. And like I said, I always felt like I belonged here. So I'm just ready to compete. I'm ready to get to know some new guys, make new friends, and, more relationships and stuff, because that's what I really feel that this is about. But, man, I'm ready to compete, and I'm ready to do my part to make this team as good as it could be.
All right, let's get to know you a little bit off the field. What do you like to do for fun, Jacobe? You got any hobbies? You got any hidden talents? What do you like to do when you're not on the field?
Yeah, I mean, I just love family. Like, I'm a family person. So when I'm at home, I love to be around my family. A lot of the times we're just outside. We might go for a walk, shoot some basketball, shoot some hoops or something like that. Or I'm just listening to music, playing video games and stuff like that. But I'm really an active person. So a lot of the times, like, even when I'm not doing something oriented around football, like, I just like to get out. I like to go sightseeing and stuff like that, because there's a lot that this world has to offer. So, I like to get out and just see things.
How about school? What are you majoring in? What do you want to finish your degree in at UCF?
I'm majoring in exercise science. So I'm gonna finish. I know it's kinesiology at UCF, I believe.
Yep.
But I want to use my degree to kind of further my knowledge. I want to be a personal trainer, like a fitness, a social media influencer, to kind of build my brand, because that's just something that I'm really passionate about, besides football, just exercising and staying in good shape. And, that's something that I really think that I really amassed a lot of knowledge on. So I'd rather do something that I'm passionate about instead of going further and further into my degree. And, maybe that is something that may pay more money, but, I want to do something that I love. That's why I play football. That's why I want to be a personal trainer, because those are the things that I'm passionate about.
Well, I'm sure you're in great shape as a football player, but everybody works out, has a cheat meal. What's your cheat meal, Jacobe? What's your go-to? You're gonna pack on a cheat meal. What are you going to get?
I'm gonna order from Chick-fil-A. I'm gonna get either 3 or 4 spicy chicken sandwiches, no pickles,
Okay,
American
fair.
cheese, and either crumble cookies or insomnia cookies. And I'm gonna get a 6-pack from insomnia or a 4-pack from crumble cookies. And I'm a classic guy. I only need chocolate chip.
Seems like this has happened before, Jacobe. One last question for you. What do I got to do to get you in a UCF shirt? You got the Ohio shirt on now. Do you have UCF gear en route? I mean, is it in the closet? Like, what's the UCF gear situation?
Yeah, so I mean, I went down on a visit. My visit was only one day, so I didn't really get a chance, and I obviously didn't commit when I was on the visit. So I'm coming down Sunday. So
okay,
hopefully I'll get in contact with some guys. And
we need to get some black and gold on Jacobe. It's a much better look. No, I love the green. I love the Bobcats. I think Parker Navarro would play with you, right? So Parker Navarro was a UCF QB, right? Did you guys get a chance to chat?
Oh yeah, that's my guy. He's a great dude. Like, I have nothing but nice things to say about him. Like, and I'm still in contact with him day from day right now. He kind of been just telling me in detail, about his experience and stuff here at UCF, and also talking about the current situation that he has going on there. I know he has a pretty good chance of starting down there, so I wish him nothing but the best.
We're a couple weeks removed from the NFL draft. Javon Baker selected by the New England Patriots. When you see a UCF guy and that continued pipeline of UCF wide receivers into the NFL, what do you think of that?
Opportunity, if I go here and I put up good numbers, put on good tape, hey, I have just as good as a chance as anybody else to further my name and my brand, to make my dreams possible.
What's the reaction or reception you've received from coaches and players that you've heard from so far?
From UCF?
Yes.
They want me here. They want me to come in and perform. They want me to be a guy. So, I'm all in for that, and I'm just ready.
Who else really went after you? Where else were you considering besides UCF?
Arkansas was talking to me for a while. Tulane was talking to me. Southern Miss. and Coastal Carolina. And Coastal Carolina was a close one, and I feel like if things probably didn't work out here, that's probably, what would have ended up happening. But, the love and stuff that I received on the visit, I mean, it made it perfectly clear, this was the place for me. I didn't want to waste time and try to go figure something out, to go see. Like, I knew, I prayed on it. I feel like God called me here, so that's why I'm here.
You mentioned you're back Sunday. Is that a permanent, or you're just visiting Sunday? When do you officially get to UCF?
On Sunday.
Sunday. Gotcha. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you this fall for the Knights. We appreciate you spending some time with us on Sons of UCF Live. A big welcome from Knight Nation, Jacobe.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all for having me.
All right. Go Knights.
Yes, sir. Go Knights.
All right. He has a real opportunity, Adam, to come in. We've been talking about this throughout spring, that battle for number 3. There are other guys, and you hear that cliche, iron sharpens iron. He's coming in to compete for a job, and that's only going to make everybody better.
Yeah, look, I love the hunger, right? I love the passion. Obviously, he's got some measurables that I don't think anybody else in the receiver room can match. Right, 6'3", with 225. You don't have those numbers, I think, anywhere else. And so you think about how he can be used in conjunction with a speedster like a Xavier Townsend, with a capable receiver like Kobe Hudson. I think, again, sky's the limit offensively, but I love the fact that he's coming in, he's ready to compete, and he wants to be the best receiver out there. Like, I love guys who want to come in and want to work, and seems like a good kid and a good pickup by the staff. And it just goes to show you how much the UCF brand has grown, right? You get that, you get that phone call from 407, KJ's there, just all those connective points. I don't think we think about all that stuff, but, just the way the brand has grown, the way that you continue to attract talent to UCF. I mean, we've always said this, you need to start stacking some classes together. And this is a great example of how you do that, right? You bring in somebody good who knows somebody good, who brings in somebody good, and that's how you start to build a foundation. So can't wait to see Jacobe on the field. Obviously, great to see somebody come down to Orlando and say, I think Lauren has it best. She wants a shirt that says, you can't beat Orlando, Florida. And it's awesome to hear somebody say that.
53 receptions, 923 yards, 6 touchdowns over 2 seasons. He has a chance to put up some big numbers, some gaudy numbers with KJ Jefferson this year. By the way, is it the height at 6'3" or 230? At what point are you big bodied? I'd like to know that, just just for my own information.
I think when you can eat
the weight.
I think when you can eat 4 Chick-fil-A sandwiches and a 6-pack of crumble cookies, I think that's how you get in the big body category. That's the prerequisite right there.
We're starting to see, though, we talked about that poll of feeling confident about the wide receivers. This is no disrespect for the other guys in the room, but it's been a lingering question. Who would step up? And I think the addition of Jacobe in the portal makes people feel more confident about that wide receiver room.
Well, yeah. Again, you think about this. You have Xavier Townsend, who's a speedster, right? He can cut on a dime. He can make guys miss. Kobe's a pretty smooth, athletic receiver. I mean, you just heard Jacobe say he turns 50-50 balls into 90-10 balls. I'll take that all day of the week, right? So you think about all the different components that you want in receivers. You think about Trace, a tough 3rd and 4. Maybe you need a first down. You throw a fade to this kid at 6'3" and just let him jump up and high point the ball and get you 5 yards for the first. I think those are dynamic, situational football plays that you need to have, and you need the right people to do that. Not that other receivers can't, but if you have somebody that can do that and play in and play out, I think that's just another advantage for the offensive staff to say, hey, every 3rd down is an automatic first down. Right. Every 2nd and 2 at the goal line is an automatic touchdown, because you have somebody that has a skill set that allows you to, get an advantage on the defense. Those are how you win in the margins. And I think, guys like that, attributes like that are what UCF is going after. And I think there's got a lot of guys who can do a lot of different things.
It happened a couple of weeks ago. It happened again during this interview. I got a little of that hopium. I'm getting a little excited about the season. I know it's May, but I really enjoyed talking to him, and feel confident about him hitting the ground running for UCF.
Yeah, and again, I said this on the pod this week. I said this last week. I really love that Gus and the staff have gone after guys with experience, guys who have played high major football, that have reps, had snaps, and can come and sort of bring that to the table. I think that's such a good attribute. And for every, and this is no different, for every Clemson DB that had 4 stars that didn't work out, you have a Jason Johnson who, played his ass off for 2 years and is now at the camp of the Dallas Cowboys, right? So give me somebody with a little bit of hunger, a little chip on your shoulder, you're somebody who says, hey, I was at Ohio and maybe that's not an important school and I want to go show what I can do on the big stage, give me those hungry guys every single time. And I'm with you, Trace. I don't want to go UCF Mike yet, but are we winning every game? I mean,
well, you're not getting me to that. I'm not going to do that. But
you're a 4-loss guy, though. You're a 4-loss guy. I know.
I'm weakening on that, but I've got all summer to talk myself in and out of it.
Yeah,
Sarah Willis in the circle for UCF, getting ready to face Baylor. So thank you to Jacobe for joining us. Switching gears to baseball, big 12 weekend series against Texas Knights. You're going to be in that top 10 in the Big 12 in order to make the conference tournament in a couple of weeks. And they're 9th, but a bunch of teams, bunched up. Knights got their 30th win against 15 losses, winning 7-4 over North Florida. Friday, Saturday, Sunday against Texas. Texas competing there.
Texas.
It's huge. Spoke with head coach Rich Wallace following the North Florida game, and he talked about the challenge that is Texas this weekend.
Did he, Trace? He did.
Offensively, we're going to have our hands full. They're a really offensive team. We're going to have to pitch and pitch well to keep it into the game. And it's going to come down to us pitching, defending, executing on offense, and being timely on offense.
That's every Big 12 series, right?
That's what it feels like. I told you guys it's going to be 10 super regionals, and that's kind of what it's felt like.
10 super regionals. Hey, they've been competitive every weekend. It has been an enjoyable baseball season. RPI is still pretty good, but you can't slip below 10th and not make that conference tournament. Really good preview. Our guy Michael at Emptiness4 on Twitter, and it's on the Sons of UCF website right now. The preview of Texas. He goes very in-depth on the Longhorns, and you find that Michael doing great work for us all season long, and of course a great follow on Twitter during the game. So if you can't make it, you miss an inning or two, Michael's got you covered. Well, going to be in town for this one is a guy we know well, a return guest on Sons of UCF Live. He covers the Texas Longhorns for At Horns 24/7. He is Eric Henry. Most importantly, he is UCF alum, Eric Henry. He is good enough to join us on Sons of UCF Live. Eric, hello.
Good evening, fellas. First off, UCF alum, that never changes, despite the fact of, some people try to kick me out of this, illustrious, tight-knit group of UCF alum that we are, given the fact that I've taken on this endeavor of covering Texas. But you can't get rid of me that easily. I'm coming from you from a undisclosed location.
A bunker.
On the west side of Orlando.
You're already in town. That is tremendous. What has it been like to cover this Texas team this year? Pretty good, pretty consistent, home or away. They don't get into big, long losing streaks. You heard Rich Wallace just a moment ago. Pretty powerful offense. They can pitch too. Hey, they are tough out.
Yeah, I laugh because you talk about them being consistent, and I only say that because you should hear from the Longhorns fan base, who quite frankly have wanted to, from the White House, it's funny, who wanted to fire Texas head coach David Pierce 10 times over this year. A big thing that UCF,
because they couldn't get that basketball coach fired during the
season. Well, yeah, listen, if there was anyone who wanted Rodney Terry fired, it was Texas fans following his nonsensical rant. Believe it or not, I hate to sound like I'm taking up for the Longhorn fan base, but they were just as ticked off about that as UCF fans were, because they thought it was nonsensical. Anyhow, that aside, back to baseball. David Pierce's club guys really struggled in the early part of the year. Had a couple bad losses. I mean, losses to some teams out of conference that, quite frankly, the Texas baseball is a really story tradition going back to, the Roger Clemenses and the Troy Tulowitzkis and guys like that. And they take it really seriously, especially entering the SEC. But Trace, I laughed when you said consistent, because this team really struggled on Friday nights. There was a good stretch for a good month and a half that they did not win a series opener on Friday nights. And I
didn't say consistently good, did I? I said consistent.
well, no, the thing is, listen, if you take a look at the record, they turned the corner and they won most of those series, right? But for whatever reason, one reason or another, they struggled on Fridays. But they've seemed to have turned the corner, especially in Big 12 play, coming off of some, really good wins in conference. And I think really, as far as them closing the season, this is a good matchup in my mind to see where UCF is, a team that was ranked in the top 25 early in the year by some of the numerous baseball polls, and also for Texas to see if they've turned the corner and if they're kind of entering the Big 12 tournament in a hot streak.
Well, let's talk about pitching for a second. They've made some changes over the course of the
Yes.
season to who goes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh, the big thing. So the ace of the staff entering the year was Big 12 preseason, pitcher of the year, LBJ, LeBaron Johnson Jr. LBJ is a big guy, 6'5", 6'6", 240, a really power pitcher. Again, just from a sheer physical makeup standpoint, had everything that you would have wanted entering the year in terms of a pitching prospect, but he got shelled early in the year. And David Pierce just said, hey, I've got to make a change. And now you see guys like Ace Whitehead and some others kind of stepping up in the rotation. And what was really interesting about pitching this year, guys, was David Pierce chose to get rid of longtime pitching coach Woody Williams, who was a longtime reliever in the MLB and a Houston native who has gone back to Houston, is now with Rice, and is handling the pitching on his own because DP had kind of handled a lot of pitching, even going back to his time at Tulane. That has not paid off. If you take a look at the ERA up and down the rotation, even in the bullpen, had struggled at time. And I think that had kind of been a sore spot for Longhorns fans who had expected more from this pitching staff. But yeah, I think if memory serves correct, LBJ is going to be the Sunday starter. I think Ace White is going to be the Saturday starter. I last checked, it was TBD, but I think Texas SID just sent out an email to see who the Friday starter is. But yes, that pitching rotation, let me take a look at here. It's Max Grubbs. Okay, it's Max Grubbs going Friday, Ace Whitehead going Saturday. So yeah, that rotation has been up and down all year. And LBJ, while again, he's struggling, I think ERA somewhere around 6. Still dangerous because he has all the makeup if you want of a guy who throws multiple pitches, can get up into the mid 90s as far as the fastball, but just has really struggled with his consistency and really throwing strikes throughout the season.
I got to say, Texas has the all-name team, right? If your nickname is LBJ, you got to be on Texas. You guys got a guy named Ace. Is this a nickname or is this a given name? You're named Ace and you're on the pitching staff for the Longhorns?
No, LBJ, of course, LeBaron Johnson Jr. And of course, it's fitting given, the history of Texas and presidents, of course, Lyndon Baines Johnson. So that kind of stuck there. And Ace is not a given name, but, hey, it's a hell of a name for a pitcher, right?
It's not just baseball we're talking here. You got a little presidential stuff in here too.
Yeah, with a name like Ace, you can't be an accountant, right? You're going to have to be a pitcher. But Eric, I noticed that Texas has one of the same challenges UCF has, and obviously it's worked out better for Texas than it has UCF. But they haven't been able to win a series. It seems like they win 2, drop 1, win 1, win 2. What's kind of been the Achilles heel? And again, they're winning more than they're losing, which is obviously a good thing. But what's been the Achilles heel that they're not able to sort of close out series against some of the Big 12 teams?
Yeah, I mean, not to sound repetitive, Adam, but like I said, they struggled for really the better part of the year, getting off to good starts, winning on Fridays. And of course, that sets the tone for what you're able to do throughout the rest of the series. A big part of that has been pitching. If you take a look at the hitting, whether it's been, a steady outfielder like Porter Brown, slick fielding, and also in addition to being slick fielding, a really power hitting shortstop in Jalen Flores, Jared Thomas, up and down the lineup. They have guys who can rake. And even if you take a look at that lineup, it's still missing guys. Like they had a Duke transfer who came in, was going to be a starting first baseman. He ended up choosing to leave baseball altogether, right? So that lineup has been pretty steady throughout the year, but the big thing has been pitching. And again, whether it's been the starters, even in coming out of the bullpen. And it's just, it's something that has been kind of just weird to assess throughout the year, because again, David Pierce has such a history of being a hands-on pitching guy. If you take a look, even before he was a head coach, he was a guy who pretty much dealt exclusively with pitching. So for him to take on the reins of saying, hey, I'm going to deal with this pitching staff, hands-on, and it just has really backfired. I mean, if you're, and guys, I think it takes a lot of, I was going to say stones, but I mean like a lot of gall to kind of say, all right, I've got a 15, 16, 17 year MLB vet like Woody Williams, who's been coaching for the better part of the last 2 decades, to say, hey, that's not getting it done. And for you to take over that role and to kind of regress, it has been telling. So Adam, yeah, that's been the biggest Achilles heel. It has just been the pitching staff and finding consistent pitching.
I had to double check this because I couldn't believe this is correct, but Texas is 21-12 at home, and they're basically a combined 9-7 either away or neutral. So they've played overwhelming majority of their games at home, but only 9-7 away or neutral. Does that concern you at all, sort of this Texas team not really being sort of road tested as you come to Orlando, as you think about going to a Big 12 conference tournament?
Yeah, no, listen, it's a key point that I think you take a look at this team's schedule. And the weird thing about it is the neutral site games, I mean, if memory serves me correct, 6 of them were in the state of Texas, whether it was either at Minute Maid Park down in Houston or, up in Arlington, right? So the side of the Big 12
conference tournament, right? So you would think if you're not even traveling to far and away places, you're playing in the state of Texas, you'd be better. And I'm really, we had a chance to talk with David Pierce prior to the team making the trip out here. And something that, I was curious of, quite frankly, is you take a look up and down Texas's just kind of athletics in the final year of the Big 12. Athletic director Chris Del Conte has not been shy about the fact that he said, hey, listen, I wanted all my teams to be prepared for the fact that they're going to get every team's best shot, especially those sports, those programs that have to face, go on the road and face teams, right? Football obviously did a very good job of that. Basketball, not so much. I mean, even though they struggled at Moody Center as well, women's basketball did a fair job of that. But baseball, it's been hit or miss. I mean, even when they went out to Lubbock, they certainly heard it from the folks out there. And then they'd be interested again. I asked David Pierce what he expected, and he's the only one on this roster who has faced UCF again from his time at Tulane. The rest of these guys, have not played in Orlando, and UCF fans are going to be fired up to do horns down and get in the head of some of these guys. So that's something they're going to have to conquer. And I do think it is something that's concerning, considering the fact that it's not even like they've played these neutral site games in quite frankly hostile environments.
Couple series left. What do you make of the Big 12 tournament? Do you feel it's kind of wide open, or do you favor anybody in that tournament?
No, I mean, I genuinely think the Big 12 is wide open this year. And again, it's really interesting because you take a look at a team like Texas that, whether it was, coming off of the success of some of the other teams, I don't want to say this team was full of themselves entering the season, but some of those struggles, the aforementioned struggles that we've talked about, it almost felt as if they just felt like things were just going to naturally come together because they were Texas. And I don't mean that in an arrogant sense. Again, I just think you take a look. Football obviously won the Big 12. Women's basketball won the Big 12. Up and down volleyball won another national championship. Softball, number one team in the country. The list just goes on and on. And I think just with talking to some of the guys and some of the quotes that they've given us as the season has gone on, they've almost kind of intimated and hinted that, hey, this thing has come a little bit harder than we expected. But no, in my mind, I definitely think the Big 12 is wide open. And I mean, I even thought at one point in time that UCF could make a push, and maybe that's the UCF alum in me. We'll see what happens. But no, this is not a foregone conclusion for any team in this conference, in my mind.
How ready do you think Texas as an athletics program is for that move into the SEC? We're just 2 months or so away from that.
There's a couple ways I'll answer that, Trace. I think in terms of facilities, and quite frankly, you take a look at Mike White, the softball coach, after they beat Oklahoma to go, to take the number one seed, he stood on it and said, hey, our facilities are not up to par. And I would make the case, while I love the Plex just as much as anyone, I think it's a little rich of Mike White to take a look at the facilities, the softball facilities at Texas, and say they're not up to par. Because I think the Plex, obviously, while it's still a recently new facility, could be in use of a touch up or two. Maybe it's not
or
up
three.
to par. Or three. Maybe it's not up to par. I'm trying to be nice, right? Shout out to Coach Bear. Maybe it's not up to par by SEC standards, right? And I think that's one aspect that DKR Texas Memorial Stadium, even that press box, quite frankly, is not up to par for where it's going to be to accommodate SEC level media. So if you take a look at the athletic programs, only basketball with the Moody Center, I would say right now is up to par in that sense. Now, if you're talking about on the field, Texas, I think, whether it's Quinn Ewers or some of the additions they've made on in terms of football, they're ready. Rodney Terry still reshaping that roster. We'll see what happens. The SEC basketball, right? John Calipari moving to Arkansas. That's kind of a seismic shift. We'll see what happens. They're ready enough. Vic Schaefer's women's team, obviously they, fell just short of a Final Four, and they have one of the best players in the nation in Madison Booker. I think they're ready. So it's a bit of kind of a mixed bag. Facilities could be a little bit better. And in terms of just on-field performance, I mean, really a lot of the programs kind of have the infrastructure. If anyone's not ready, it would be Rodney Terry and the men's team.
Well, let me tell you about the media table along the third baseline when we're talking press boxes tomorrow. Eric Henry, UCF alum.
I've been to that media table before, man. I know. So trust me, I've been there.
We can compare that to the press box in Austin. Eric Henry covers the Texas Longhorns for @Horns 24/7, and he's a great guy and a UCF alum. And Eric, I look forward to seeing you Friday night out at John Giuliano Park.
Anytime, fellas. Take care. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Eric. Adam, you haven't been to a baseball game in a while, have you? Maybe I'll take a picture of the media table.
I've seen the table before. Like any excuse to have Eric on is always a fun one, man. I love getting a chance to talk to Eric. He's got such a good perspective. Obviously, still having a UCF lens too. So it should be a good series this weekend. Again, UCF. This is a big one. I mean, obviously they have the opportunity to cement their fate, right? That's I think what every team wants is you control your own destiny. You win these games, you're in the tournament. So let's see what the baseball fellas have in mind for this weekend.
Yeah, 11-12. They lost that game on Sunday to Houston, got weathered out. So 3 at home against Texas, 3 on the road against Baylor. 4-2 would be the ideal split there, but you got to go 3-3. And, well, all you can do is worry about things on Friday. Hey, we got a ticket giveaway, compliments of At the JC Morning, a pair of club seats for the Tuesday night home finale, May 14th against Bethune-Cookman at 6 o'clock. Pair of clubs. What are we doing for this? It would have helped, again, to have had a little pre-meeting to talk about our ticket giveaway situation.
Yeah, no, would have been great. A pre-show meeting would have been great to understand this. Great question, Trace. Great question. Here's
we got some time.
Send us your best roast joke for UCF Mike. Your best joke for UCF Mike. Well, send us in your DMs. Send us in the DMs then, so you don't get out there. Your best. If you were roasting UCF Mike, you get one joke. What are you telling UCF Mike? The funniest one will get the tickets.
All right, I like that. Thank you, JC Morning, for giving us those club seats to next Tuesday night's game. All right, some news and notes time.
With apologies to JP Gilbert.
I'm telling those go around the kingdom of UCF.
I haven't seen him at another sport. I'd like to get him every game at every sport. So if I see him on Friday at baseball. Men's basketball making some news this week. A boom UT San Antonio transfer guard Jordan Ivy Curry. Now a night, 6'3", average 17 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. You like it?
UCF now has 4 guards on the roster that averaged more than 15 points last year. That seems important. We don't have a lot of tall people. We need more of those tall people. But again, you're finding talent. I think Johnny's had to find his opportunities. You know, Jordan Ivy Curry was scheduled to go to Auburn and visit Auburn, canceled that allegedly to come to UCF. So you like being in the mix for some of these guys. You like being in sort of the mix for some of the big major guys, and maybe the Big 12 tag really helps out there. The question always is, how quickly can all this talent gel together? It's great to have 6, 7, 8 guys who are 3, 4-star guys, but how quickly can they become one cohesive team? I think that's going to be the hallmark of Johnny Dawkins this year. But people who can put that little round thing in the hoop, never a bad thing.
Well, one of those guys, it's official now, forward Benny Williams transfers from Syracuse, shot 40% during 18 games last season, and has an opportunity now at Next Chance U at UCF.
Wow. Yeah, again, look, Johnny's going to have to win in the margins. Like, that's the unfortunate reality, I think, of where we are from a basketball standpoint. I think the Kingdom has done a nice job of getting basketball involved a little bit, but you're going to have to take some chances on guys to get competitive in the Big 12. And, you know, your hope is that a guy like Johnny Dawkins, who has a well-renowned reputation, that will find ways to take guys and make them a team and keep them on whatever straight and narrow they need to be on. As long as we win, Trace, I guess that's really all that matters.
Well, you mentioned gelling early on in the season. Knights now know who they will play in the season opener. A little team called Texas A&M. Opening night Monday, November 4th against the Aggies. They ink a home and home. UCF will go to College Station, Texas in 2025. It's back-to-back NCAA tournaments for Texas A&M. That ain't no FIU. Ain't no Stetson.
Do you have any idea who their head coach is, Trace?
No, not a chance. That's a question.
I think it's Buzz Williams.
When I listen to the podcast, I need to count. Mike must ask you at least a dozen questions that you are madly Googling.
And we can see each other in the podcast. So when he's like, how many people are left-handed? And he sees me like effortlessly, like, and he just stares at me. I'm like, can you fill some time for me?
He seems surprised you just don't know.
Give me 10 seconds to hit the Google button here. And he's just like staring at me. But I believe it's Buzz Williams, who was with Virginia Tech, was with Marquette. I believe he's the head coach now at Texas A&M.
That's good stuff.
Fun fact.
We give you a whole 30 minutes during Around the Kingdom to find the mistakes and correct us on things that we get wrong. You pop in there at the end and you give us some facts. Good mixing it up with our first guest of the evening, Eric Lopez. You can find this week's Around the Kingdom on the Suns YouTube channel. We got a little clip for you.
Yes, I think, and it's great for the Big 12. You want to bet Colorado's going to be a lot of primetime slots in that Big 12 TV deal this upcoming year? You watch. I would not be surprised if UCF, for example, in Colorado, that's a primetime game for one of the networks. He delivers ratings. He is somebody that's polarizing. It remains to be seen if he will be successful or not at this level, but he does bring some intrigue and some spice to a conference that otherwise you wonder, what is the identity of this conference? I think people in this new Big 12, what are people, the casual fan, going to go watch from the Big 12? I think Colorado's at the top at many his list.
Eric Lopez sporting a fresh cut.
Oh,
the
he does
background,
such a
the
good
ATK
haircut.
background.
Such a
ATK
good
background,
haircut for you.
fresh look
Yeah.
for that. A little yellow, pop a little. Was that gold?
It's gold.
Yellow?
Yellow. Come on, it's gold. It's bright gold.
And when I think of gold, I think of our next segment. Roll that intro.
And a quick update. There's been an addition to the opening for the mail. So pay attention. Pay attention. There's been an addition to this week's mailbag.
I'm watching.
So it's a mailbag. So what?
So what? Do you know whose mailbag that is?
It's that time again. Time to open the Brian W. Peterson Sons of UCF mailbag.
I'm too sexy for my shirt.
Oh, hell yeah.
A little addition to the Suns mailbag this week.
I'm blinded.
Yeah. Little addition.
That thanks to Dolly Drama, there was some background added, but the photo itself was supplied online by Brian W. Peterson. Confident young man.
He's gonna post those thirst traps. Trace, his DMs are about to get awfully spicy.
Tax season is over, says Brian.
Tax this, baby. Yes.
Brian, you had to know that might make an appearance. All right, we haven't had any on cam questions in a while, but we got one from Ross this week. Let's open with that.
What's up, Night Nation? It's Ross, a.k.a. Spursy Knight, and I'm here in front of Climate Pledge Arena, home with the Seattle Kraken, and soon to be home with the Seattle Supersonics. And my question for the Suns is, do you think we addressed all our needs in the portal?
Addressed all the needs in the portal. I think they did a good job. I think it remains to be seen how guys like Jacobe fit into the Knights, but I think they have on paper.
Yeah, I think the needs, yes, right. I mean, we needed some depth at linebacker. We got that. I think we needed some help on the D line. We got that. So I think you address the needs, but I also think they loaded up in positions where you need continual depth, like offensive line. Do we need offensive linemen? I don't know, but does it hurt to have another 6'8", 300-pound guy? Never. So I think we hit the needs, but I still think there are opportunities for UCF to find players to help support an overall just roster, I guess, if you will. And so I think there's a bit of a mix of both. But I think the true need, yes, I think linebacker was the answer, and we filled that.
At Emptiness 4, Michael, can you suggest a good question for me to ask? And at _all_night_ took that and ran with it and said, if we were to do a UCF version of the roast of Tom Brady, who were we roasting and who are a few people you send to the podium to do the roasting? You and Mike talked about this. I think George O'Leary is the Bill Belichick answer right there.
I don't know how it's not George O'Leary. Like, I don't know how you don't do GOL and you get, again, you need a Blake Bortles up there. You need a personality guy. You need a Terrence Plummer up there, right? But do you go controversial, Trace? Do you get somebody who butted heads with George a little bit, like a Shaquem Griffin up there, right? Like a Stephen Moffitt. So I think you got some options there because you need a little bit. I'll go back to the Seinfeld ratings, scandals and animals. You need the scandals, Trace. So how do we get some controversy up there on the stage?
I think Terry Mohajir might be right for that as well. I think he might be an interesting roast candidate.
Do we know enough about him yet to roast him?
I think we know enough. Scott, 88513. How far do you think UCF softball can go in the tournament? I'm confident that they can beat Baylor in the Thursday night game, and then they run into Texas, and that is a more challenging task for the Knights. I think, and Eric has said this, they get the win over Baylor, he feels pretty good about their chances for an NCAA tournament berth. If they don't get the win against Baylor, it could be a nerve-wracking last 4 in, last 4 out on the selection show day. At @blackgold_ed, Coach Bear challenged an Iowa State home run, claiming the hitter took off the helmet too soon in celebration before stepping on home plate. Seemed pretty petty, says @blackgold_ed. What say you? Hey, I applaud Coach Bear for knowing the rules. It's a game of margins. Got to call him out on stuff like that.
I mean, I don't love Mr. and Mrs. Technicality, but if it plays in your favor, I think you have, as a coach, you have an obligation to your team to exhaust every option. So I'm fine with it. I'm not Mr. or Mrs. Technicality guy, but if it plays in your favor, I think you got to do it.
I think this is a JP Gilbert burner account at GW Graham. How many games will Gus choke away this season with questionable game calling and subpar game management? That's
well, hold on.
Pointed. An abrupt change.
He or she ended it with a thank you, by the way. So very polite ending.
Politeness.
Very polite ending to the question. I mean, the Trey Stroko special is 4 games, right? You count Gus for 4 losses. So of those 4,
but not choke away. I think some of those are just
right. But of those 4, like I think you got it. Let's do the math here. At least 1 choke away in that spot. At least 25%.
At UCF_Rye, with Penny Boone joining the running back room, what does that mean for Johnny Richardson? I feel like we've heard this question a year ago, but with some different names in the mix. Johnny keeps hanging on. I think you got to find a way to use Johnny in the offense. He's got too much speed to be sitting and watching the game.
Just don't fall down, Johnny.
At Death's 8 Arcade, who would do better? Bama running back room with UCF's O-line or UCF's running back room with Bama's O-line? Give me the latter until I see how the UCF O-line comes together.
Yeah, I mean, I assume Bammer has some maybe bigger, stronger guys in their line, so I'll take that. But I'm also not up to speed on what Bama's line. They got some turnover there, but it's probably the right answer.
At Love Not War 311, do you see a need to shop for anything else besides maybe another O lineman or 2? Again, you can never have enough O line and D linemen. Never enough depth at these positions.
Find me big people.
Yes. At Golden Knight_2, if you were head coach of UCF Sport, would you rather have a team of elite but unproven recruits or a team of transfers of mediocre skill with multiple years of playing experience? You guys really like these difficult either-or questions that drive me crazy. I think that's why they fly into the inbox. I'll let you answer that one.
I don't love the word mediocre. I'd like a little bit above mediocre but I do think there's something to be said about a player who wants to prove what they can do. So give me the mediocre plus. I'm okay with that. I do think there's something about a scrappy team, folks who want to prove something. So I guess I'll lean that way right now. But I don't love mediocre. Give me above average. Give me, talented. Mediocre. It's kind of like my wife's cooking.
Oh, a cat beats one.
She's not listening. You're fine.
Do we now know our roster for fall? Is the portal time over as far as transfer outs? I feel we have a pretty good sense of the roster.
Well, hold on. So UCF Mike and I have a bet on this on the pod this week. We are betting how many people will turn over. So we set the number at 9.5. New faces. Mike took the over. I took the under. So that's where I'm on the under. I think we're under 9.5 changes. Mike thinks it's over 9.5 changes from the roster that is today to the roster that is there for opening day.
I clipped who sent this question in. I'll have to find that later. Do you think where things are now with conference realignment, is UCF better off with a coach with an established name like Gus Malzahn, who recruits well, or a young gun who is exciting? Maybe a GJ Kinney, for example. Experienced.
Give me, especially in the Big 12 where we are right now. Like I think in the American you can get away with like that first time Heupel Frost kind of coach. I think in the Big 12 where you've got a little bit more strategery, if you will, and the games meet a little bit more. I think you need somebody with a little bit more experience. I think you give GJ Kinney another 5 years coaching college football someplace, then maybe he's your guy. But first year coach straight off the farm, I'm not sure that's a good spot for a Big 12 team.
Do you have that photo of Brian isolated, or is it just part of that?
I tried to burn it out of my memory, Trey. Why do you keep asking about that? I don't.
Because the next question is from Brian W. Peterson, and I thought as I ask it, we could.
I don't want to see that again, Trace. I don't know. Who took that
Who
pic?
had the
Why is he
better
posing like that? I mean, I don't know. Put a hat on. I don't understand what's going on there.
put a hat somewhere? Who had a better transfer portal offseason? UCF football or men's basketball?
I go football only because I think they plugged in needs that they had, and they already had existing talent around. Basketball is just rebuilding, so they have.
But the best
dudes,
portal class they've ever had.
Low bar. I mean, they have dudes, but you have no idea how that team's going to fit together. You kind of know where the pieces fit on the football side. So, while there may be more talent from a composite star ranking on basketball, I think the football team addressed more of what they needed to accomplish on the transfer portal side.
Our friends over at 1012 Network. If you could move one Big 12 sport championship to Florida permanently, yet not football, what would it be? I would say baseball. Really enjoyed going over to the American tournament in Clearwater. Going to miss that this year, as Big 12 baseball will be in Texas, in the Dallas area. So I'd move baseball.
I think it has to be an outdoor sport, right? Like playing basketball in the gym doesn't do any good, right? Like who knows where that's at?
They're not moving that.
Yeah, football, they're not moving that. Although Camping World, maybe that's an option. Yeah. So I wouldn't mind Camping World. So give me softball. You said baseball. I don't want Elo on airplanes. Let's keep Elo at home. Let's keep him in the Plex. Give me or somewhere adjacent to the Plex. I don't know. Give me Elo at home for softball.
At Riley Carey 16. Do you think UCF baseball should wear Space U jerseys on weekends next season? No. Next. I think it's fine.
No.
Once in a while. At OJT Feuds, best on-campus food. I replied online saying limited choices, which seems to be a correct answer. I don't want to diss anybody in particular, but I don't find there to be any must-go-to spots. Some are convenient near the stadiums and such, but nothing I have a burn. I'd rather eat a lot of times before I get onto campus than eat at campus.
Look at you. I mean, I don't spend a ton of time on campus. I completely miss wackadoos, aka locos. That
was the food good?
No, I completely missed. But you could get a beer between class trades. What are you gonna do? Burger U, solid. Does game day count? Because I don't mind a good Huey Magoo's on game day. So if I can count game day, that may be the best food campus situation, if I can count that.
Gotcha. All right. Hey, I have a question for you. What's in the box?
I don't think anyone ever knows what's in the box, Trace, but I do know what the box is. And it's sponsored by our good friends at Charlie Hustle.
Charlie Hustle.
TEN1215 get you 15% off your
you would have been good on the old Tonight Show where they would do reads like that and Ed McMahon would chime in. You'd be great on any reads. I think you're good on any reads.
Thank you, Trace. All right. Wow. Here's an interesting one. I don't know if this is up your alley or not. When playing
probably not if you're prefacing it like that.
When playing blackjack, do you hit on 15?
I don't know.
Do you know how to play blackjack? Have you ever played blackjack?
Yeah, I know how to play blackjack. I don't know. I don't play any of that enough to have a go-to answer on that. Yes.
You hit on 15. Ooh, I mean, look, this is a nuanced question. I need to know what everybody else has, what the dealer's showing. So that the incomplete amount of information here. I think generally speaking, I think I would hit on.
Fire the person that writes the question.
That looks like my handwriting. Generally speaking, I think I would want to hit on a 15, but I need more details. I need to see the table. What's the dealer got? Where am I at here? How many cards have I already gotten at this point? I think you hit on a 15. I think
so I had the correct answer is what you're saying.
But you kind of like, 15 hit, whatever. I don't care. Like there wasn't a lot of thought on it. Mario says you hit until 21. No, Mario's not wrong. Well, that could also go a few different ways, Mario. So be careful.
I don't know what he's talking about.
I worry about you, Mario. I think you hit on a 15. I need to understand what everybody else has on the table, but I think you hit on the 15. Are you not a gambler? Do you have a casino game of choice?
No.
I'm going to say this very slowly so I don't. Are you a slots guy? I didn't want that to be confused with anything else.
I would like you to say it very fast, though.
Slots guy? Are you a slot? No, are you pulling the handle?
No, I'm not much of a gambler. Steady as you go. I just think about, okay, do I have $200 to gamble? I do. Do I want to throw money away? I do not. So that's how
fair. What if I gave you $100 right now? So it's free money for you. And I said, Trace, right over there, my friend, there's a casino. Go do some damage. Where you start?
And I wager on 2 letters, 2 words, Robert's gameplay in poker. Can I just put my money down on him?
Patrick's got a roulette. Solid game.
No strategy in roulette. What is the strategy in roulette?
Get it right. That's the strategy. You gotta have a feeling, Trey. It's a gut feeling.
No.
Poker? Are you a
No?
Are you a poker guy?
No.
No.
No. And I've said this to Robert. We got the game out of TCU. I don't know. I need a tutorial. I haven't played that in years, and that was mainly family stuff and nothing serious. And so, no, I'm not. I don't do any of that stuff enough to be good at it. So, sorry to point on that question.
All right. Well, hit on 15, friends.
Hit on 15 and apparently 21, whatever that means. I want to thank Eric Lopez for joining us from Oklahoma. Jacobe, our new wide receiver. I want to welcome him again to UCF. Jacobe Jones, who transferred in from Ohio, and Eric Henry, UCF alum Eric Henry, going to be out at John Juliano Park this weekend. Say hi to us along media row at the media table along the third base line. And don't forget, win those tickets, a pair of tickets, club seats for baseball on Tuesday. Compliments of John Morning. For Adam Eaton, I'm Trey Strelko. Thanks, everyone, for being with us for this week's Sons of UCF Live. Go Knights!
Charge on, Warning.
Yo, this is Antonio Brown, and you watching Sons of UCF. Tune in and put that shit on.
You didn't censor it this time. I think
I had too much to do today. I almost got fired from